Louise Cooper is with BGC Partners. She joins me now. And, you know, Louise, we've been talking for the past few days, if not the past week, about, you know, sovereign debt concerns, a threat of contagion really resurfacing on the markets. But can you be specific in terms of explaining to us what is the big driver of trade? What is driving this sell-off?
We've talked for some time about risk on, risk off, that investors are desperate for yield, desperate for returns, and therefore willing to put risk on. But then the world is so uncertain and so crazy, they suddenly want to take risk off because they want to fly for safety. And at the moment, we are seeing greed and fear. What we're seeing is fear. And it's just the end. It's the same story. It's contagion. It's the fears that when you look at Italy, it has the third largest debt burden in the world after America and Japan. 1.6 trillion euro of outstanding government debt. And it's just reminding ourselves of these figures. We always knew that Italy had lots of debt. Generally, the Italian population were quite willing to buy their government's debt, and it's been fine provided interest rates were very low, didn't cost the government very much to borrow. If interest rates start to ratchet up, as they are doing, it almost becomes a self-perpetuating cycle because the Italian government can't really afford to pay significantly higher interest rates on its debt, and its fiscal position gets worse and worse and worse. And I think it's just investors looking around saying, OK, well, where is the next crazy place? Where do we need to worry about? And they've highlighted Italy at the moment.
OK, so then, I mean, why now? Because, you know, these unknowns, these uncertainties that you describe, I mean, they've been in place for a while. So I'm wondering, was there any one spark, any one catalyst that sort of meant that Italy was suddenly in the sights of investors now?
I mean, there never is. It's all a question of market sentiment, what's priced in and what's not priced in. I think we've had a good rally in equity markets over the last 5 weeks, and people are up to recently, and people have been feeling fairly optimistic. And I think it was a number of things. I think last week, the S&P downgrade of Portugal, the concerns about the French banks deal that was going to alleviate the Greek debt burden. And then on top of that, I think it's just a more analysis of where are we going and what is the solution from Brussels. Because again, it's not terribly encouraging when what you hear from Brussels is, oh, maybe we'll ban short selling, or maybe we'll blame the ratings agencies, or it's all blaming the messenger. It's not fundamentally getting to grips with the underlying problems of what is happening. And I think that kind of posturing from Brussels to blame the ratings agencies, the short sellers, the hedge funds, or whatever, just causes markets to worry. Why are you worrying about that, and why aren't you dealing with the fundamental problem?
OK, so with that in mind, the failure to address, you know, these issues, at the fundamental issues at the heart of what we're seeing right now, I mean, we can see a move away from risk. I mean, stocks are down, you know, fairly significant declines that we're seeing in the three main markets in Europe, in wider Europe as well. It's spread to Asia. So the same story in the US, you know, money flowing into treasuries, into Bunds. Is this the sort of thing we're going to see in the coming weeks? Is this likely to continue?
I mean, it's just a flight to safety. I mean, 10-year Bund yields, German government debt, 2.52%. I had a chat and sat with the European government bond yield desk here, government bond desk here at BGC, and they said there's only one game in town. Investors only want to buy Bunds, possibly buy Gilts as well. They regarded as a bit of a safe haven as well. But really, in terms of catching falling knives, catching Italian and Spanish or Portuguese or Irish debt, nobody wants to play. At the moment, it is a flight to safety. Swiss franc, gold, treasury, dollar, that's what it's all about.
A flight to safety. OK, thanks very much indeed. Louise Cooper of BGC Partners. Great to have you on the show. Thanks very much. Good to chat.